Welcome to the Z Files. You're Zooming with Ellie Crystal from crystallinks.com. Today, I want to talk about Mercury Retrograde because today is June 22nd, 2021, and it is the last day of a 3.5-week Mercury Retrograde cycle. Most people have heard about Mercury Retrograde. Some take it seriously. Some have absolutely no interest in it. That is completely up to you. Mercury is a planet that appears, like all the other planets, to go direct and follow the normal rotation. But then every 3 months, it seems to slow down. It doesn't really, but it appears to slow down for 3 days. Those are called the direct days. And then it appears to be going backwards for about 3.5 weeks. And in so doing, because Mercury is the god of transportation and communication, things seem to get rather messed up, okay, in everybody's life, not just certain people's lives. It's all about your particular chart, your astrological chart when you were born, and that's how Mercury retrograde at a given time will affect you or not affect you at all, or whether you'll even pay attention to what it's doing. Mercury is the god of transportation and communication. That's where it hits the hardest. It's repetitions and delays. So let's take them one step at a time, okay? Let's talk about transportation. You're driving, you're flying, you're taking a train, however you're going, there's delays in maybe getting to an airport, there's delays in traffic, there's delays on construction, everything that could possibly delay and get annoying with your trip could easily happen. And I know what you're thinking, it could happen anytime, and that's true, but this is what it is. This is what it's supposed to be about. It's like you get to the airport, you forgot something. You don't have time to go back. You have to call somebody. This is wrong, that's wrong. When you're traveling during Mercury retrograde, you have to check and double check, make yourself a nice little list and just say, okay, here is my list, check it off, make sure you have everything, okay? Because it's hard when you're missing your phone charger or something that you really need to pack on your trip. That's travel. Travel plans also can get delayed. Like you're supposed to go somewhere to somebody's house or somebody's party, and then the weather gets bad and you can't do that. So that's another part of travel. It's just endless. It just means that things easily can go wrong, more so than the norm, during Mercury retrograde when it comes to travel. Communication is a whole big umbrella, okay? It's not just your tech. Yes, your tech could mess up during Mercury retrograde. It's not a good time to buy your tech. That's really not a good, way to go. But you could have glitches, your phone, suddenly it's like, hey, why did my phone die? It shouldn't have died. Why can't I get through to someone? Why is this? Why is that? With communication also, watch your emails, watch your texts, watch what you say to people. You just may be in a snarky kind of a mood one day, and then somebody says something to you and you just say the wrong thing that you can't take back. Oh my God, it's all about everybody apologizing for something they said 20 years ago that now they're trying to take back. So you have to be very, in a general, be careful what you say, be careful of your language, be careful of your attitude, okay? Because whether it's Mercury retrograde or not, you really have to be careful how you communicate, what you want, how you feel, and just let it go. When it comes to things like schoolwork, you'll probably have to do it over. Big decisions, you have to do it over. You have to repeat it. It's like, here's this beautiful house. I love this house. Should we buy it? Shouldn't we buy it? Can we afford it? What should we do about the house? You have to figure it out with the person you're buying it with, or if you're buying it by yourself, then that's something else. Purchases are very big for repetitions during Mercury retrograde, no matter when it is. I'm usually hit by Mercury retrograde at the very beginning. I don't even have to look at a calendar. I just know, everything's messing up. I blogged something. No, I want to do it over, and I want to do it over, and I can't get it right. That's the feeling. You just can't get it right. But when you're doing any kind of written work, Be very careful because you're probably going to want to repeat it. Making appointments, people are late, people rebook, people change things around, appointments. It really affects everything, actually. The shopping thing, I think, knowing what I know about Mercury retrograde, and it usually affects me at the beginning. 2 days ago, they're having Prime Day on Amazon. So I bought something, nothing expensive, like $20. So I bought something. They delivered it yesterday. I took a look at it and I'm like, no, this is awful. So I was back at the UPS store returning it today. Should I have known better? Oh, it's Prime Day. I said, it's $20. I can always return it. And that's what I did. I returned it. A lot of people are going to buy a lot of stuff on these Prime days, and Walmart has their days, for discounts and things like that. Just be careful what you buy, unless you can return it. If you can, then you can. Now, since COVID, we've been dealing with COVID for the past 15 months. Since COVID, people have what they call fuzzy thinking, indecisiveness, often confusion, sometimes real dizziness, post having had COVID or getting the vaccine. I can't comment on the vaccine. Some people say absolutely not. Other people are like, well, if I'm going to be in this world, I'm going to do it. So that is 1,000% your decision. It's not for me to make it for you. Okay. That you got to do on your own. But it left people very tired and despondent. And they just tell me in the readings and people I meet, I'm just tired all the time. It could be because they had COVID months ago and now something is coming back. COVID to me is an unknown entity. We still don't know 100% where it came from. Everybody speculates it's either some animal somewhere, it's either mutated from another virus, or it's from the labs in China, and it was either intentionally or deliberately released, okay? Who knows? There's so many unknowns with it. There's unknowns with the vaccine. There's unknowns about where it came from, how it came from, what are the long-term effects. And why have so many people died? Because it's been, I think we're up to 600,000. That's a lot of people in the United States, and then it's global. And Mercury retrograde does affect everything global. But since COVID ended, there is this feeling of indecisiveness. It's like almost everybody tells me, I feel like we're in a different reality. So, some things are the same. My parents are still my parents, my friends are still my friends, mostly, maybe not all, but it doesn't feel the same when I get up in the morning, when I go to work, when I just take a walk, when whatever I do. This reality is not the one we were in, let's say 2 years ago. And I believe that to be the case also. I think it has to do with the fact we live in a simulated reality, and COVID had to do with population control for the most part. That was its purpose, but it's also because things aren't the same. Reality is rebooting very quickly now. It used to reboot so slowly, very few people notice that it reboots every day. But now it seems to be rebooting very, very quickly, which is more confusing on top of Mercury retrograde, on top of COVID. So there's a lot of things going on. Jobs in the news every day. People don't want to go back to the jobs that they had before COVID. That's repetitions again. I don't want to go back to that job. Why? Because I was happier working home. I don't want to commute anymore. In the interim, I found something I like to do better. I started a business in my home. So now I'm going to do that. I want to be around more for my children. And that's a very big plus for parents. I want to be there and watch my children grow up. So lots of physical things have changed, but also lots of emotional things have changed, and a lot of not really spiritual, but the way we do things has changed. A lot more people, I believe we're in a simulated reality. In the last months, many more, probably thousands more, have contacted me and told me they now get it. They now understand what I'm talking about. They didn't before because they were going along the merry way. And then there was this dead stop. You're quarantined, you're home, alone with others, Zooming, however you're doing it, but you had time to process what's really going on here. What's going on with the craziness in the government that never makes sense. It's getting worse with public safety, with people going ballistic. I mean, people are losing it. They just kill people. That's it. People they don't know, people they do know. They shoot them, they knife them, they throw them off the subway platforms here in New York. I mean, it's nothing is going to make sense. I'll be honest with you. In the closure of a simulation, things implode. The grids that create the illusion that all of this universe and everything around us is real when actually it's not. It's just a fabrication. It's breaking down. These grids hold it together. They allow us to process our emotions on a day-to-day basis, because it's the only way you can do emotions is to ever do it on a day-to-day. Whereas if you're not in physical reality and you're in a higher frequency, you don't deal with emotions. You really, it's a whole different venue and another different blog for another day. But on the whole, what's going on is Mercury is retrograde. It doesn't come back till the end of September. You have a nice window of going out and experiencing over the next 3 months, whether you've chosen to travel and be careful with that, whether you've chosen to just stay around at home and have friends in, and however you're planning to spend your summer. I really hope it's happy and it's healthful. Healthy. But at the end of September, we come into the next Mercury retrograde, and that's when a lot of the medical people are saying, watch out for the next COVID that's coming in now. There's another COVID, and or it's a derivative actually of the original one. And you have to be careful about it. You really have to say, well, if it's going to come back, I'm prepared. I think part of what seems different when we walk into reality is the concept of, is the other shoe going to drop? Are we going to go back to where we were? I don't believe we will ever go back to, we're going to have these major quarantines and businesses will die and everything else, and people will die. You know, I don't think we're headed in that direction, but there are going to be little glitches that come up in the fall. So don't throw away those masks. Don't throw away things that you did. Keep your toilet paper and other things stocked, as if this was not Mercury retrograde, as if this was, something, a derivative of COVID, and just plan slowly and carefully. If your plans don't happen because of something from you or something from someone else, then they just don't. I believe we've actually stepped out of the astrological Mercury retrograde today, but I think we live permanently in Mercury retrograde because everything is broken. People are broken. Politics are broken. Everybody agrees with me. What we think is this really great economy. All right, I'll let you finish that sentence, okay? But things are broken, and there's no going back on any of these things. This really is the end. Look upon it as the Fibonacci spiral, okay? And the Fibonacci spiral, it starts with 0, and then it spirals out the comma, 1, comma, 2, comma. You can look that up. We are reversing the Fibonacci spiral. We're coming back to that 0 point, the place from which this simulation emanates. Okay, some say it's through a black hole. I know it comes out of some dark energy, some dark void, some dark matter. That's definitely the truth. But we're coming back to the 0. We're at 0, comma 1. It used to be 0, comma 1, comma 1, and everybody would talk about 1111, but forget about 1111. We're at 0, comma 1, and your soul and my soul and everybody's soul knows that this is the end of something. You don't know how, you don't know who, you don't know where, you don't know why, you don't know if you're going to be sitting here listening to me and everything fades to black. These are the unknowns. I don't have those answers either, because time is an illusion. So I can't sit here and tell you it's going to happen in 6 months or a year. The only thing you can use as a marker to the end of the simulation is climate change and natural disasters, because they speak to you and they tell you this is what this is about. But let's get back to our planets. Our planets are part of the illusion. Okay, we are projected illusion. Ellie is projected illusion. You are projected illusion. Everything is, we're here to experience our emotions. We're here. The planets kind of set us up for, oh, this is going to trine this. This is going to square this. This is going to go retrograde. This is not going to go, oh, it's a full moon. So we're all going to become lunatics. It sets us up in certain ways, but I really don't think things work exactly that way. They do to a degree, but it's becoming less and less and less. And all of these things, such as Mercury retrograde, communication, transportation, repetitions and delays. Remember, repetitions and delays. My daughter calls it do-overs and delays. Okay, whatever, that's fine. But whatever it is, no, those are the words, repetitions and delays. Keep an eye on it. Hold off your doctor's appointments. Hold off your major decision making. Just deal with the fact that everything is collapsing. It really is. And so you just have to be careful about everything, whether it's a decision you made during Mercury retrograde or even now when it goes direct in 3 days. So just be careful, okay? And on that note, I just want to say thank you for listening. I hope you had a good Mercury retrograde. I hope that you were careful with what you said, what you did, how you communicated. If you didn't, then you may have to do some of those things that are on the news all the time. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say this. I didn't mean to do this. And sometimes you wonder why you even said it in the first place. Who knows? We're just the simulation. We're just a bunch of projections who are just here to do, I guess, a bunch of wild, funky things that very often make no sense. So try to keep yourself balanced and stable. If you need help, of course, with something professional, go for it. On that note, I'm going to say thank you. And there are other astrological things in my limited knowledge of it that I will come back and talk about on another day. So be glad retrograde's over. If you're watching this the day that I put it out, June 22nd, then be careful for the next 3 days and then just go ahead and do all the things, the appointments, the travel, the everything that you would put off, the contracts, the looking for things, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for listening. Until next time.